Welcome to the Fast Leader Podcast, where we explore convenient yet effective shortcuts that will help you get ahead and move forward faster by becoming a better leader. And now, here's your host, customer and employee engagement expert, and certified emotional intelligence practitioner, Jim Rimbaugh.
Call Center Coach develops and unites the next generation of call center leaders. Through our e-learning and community, individuals gain knowledge and skills in the 6 core competencies that is the blueprint that develops high-performing call center leaders. Successful supervisors do not just happen. So go to callcentercoach.com to learn more about enrollment and download your copy of the Supervisor Success Path ebook now. Okay, Fast Leader Legion, today I'm excited because I have somebody on the show today who's going to give us a quite different perspective on our careers and our lives. Karen Chaston was born and raised in Sydney, Australia. She's the third oldest of 6 girls and 1 boy. The boy is the baby, and even now at 53, he's still the golden child. Her parents were married for just under 52 years. Sadly, her dad passed away in 2003, though her mom is still going strong at 88. In 1973, at the age of 16, Karen gave birth to a daughter who she adopted out. Karen then decided to not complete her final year of high school and started her banking career, which lasted for 10 years. At the age of 19, she moved north to the Gold Coast, which is in South Queensland, with her then boyfriend, Andrew. She married Andrew a year later in 1978. Earlier this year, they celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary. They have 3 boys, Ben, Josh, and Dan. Josh and Dan were twins, and unfortunately, Dan passed away at the age of 27 in July 2011. After the twins were born, she took 6 months off, and then she was offered a 4-week casual job at Dream World, which is a theme park on the Gold Coast. And that lasted for 14 years. In 1996, when she was financial systems manager, her CFO boss suggested that if she ever wanted to be paid what she thought she was worth, that she had better go and get her a bit of paper. She listened, and then while working full-time from 96 to 99, she studied part-time at Bond University for a Master of Accounting degree. Then in 2001, she was granted her CPA status. From there, she rose the corporate ladder very quickly, eventually with her and Andrew returning to Sydney to be the chief financial officer of a publicly listed company from 2008 to 2013. After losing her son in 2011, and then 15 months later, choosing redundancy, which is being laid off, she started on her journey to becoming her own best friend, a journey through life's university, empowering her with the wisdom to become an author, speaker, trainer, radio co-host, and ultimately her founding the Live Love by Design brand, which includes online and offline programs, a book, soon to be released, Live Love by Design TV, and Live Love, Give Back to Teens project. Karen and Andrew currently live in Sydney, but plan to move back to Queensland soon. Karen Chaston, are you ready to help us get over the hump?
I certainly am. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Now, I've given my Legion a little bit about you, but can you tell us what your current passion is so that we can get to know you even better?
My current passion is Live Love by Design. I just love everything about it, and I truly wish that I had this wisdom, this understanding when I was a lot younger, which is why my passion project is a Live, Love, Give Back to Teens project. I'm very passionate about sharing this wisdom with young women, especially young women who have had an unexpected pregnancy like I did in their teens or early 20s, so that they can understand that no matter what choice they made, whether they decided to keep the child, get married, to raise it as a single mother, or to abort their child, or to adopt their child out like I did, they still can live their dream life. They still can have everything they desire. All they require are the keys to their success, which I share in the program, Live Love Keys to a Young Woman's Success.
You know, as you were talking, I started thinking about a lot of different aspects of, I guess you'd say, self-sabotage, barriers, self-inflicted, wounds, our own humps that we put in front of us.
Yeah, limiting beliefs, the whole lot of it.
So when you start talking about, the Live Love by Design, I mean, for me, I could initially say, oh, this is just all fluffy stuff. But however, I also know that you're a CPA.
Yeah.
So there's got to be some structure and frameworks and things like that. Tell us a little bit about that.
There is a lot of structure. So there's 9 areas of life in my live, love, wheel of life. And I like the fact that there's 9. The reason being is 9 is all about birthing. You know, it takes 9 months to birth a child, and it really does take these 9 areas of life for you to birth your live, love way of life, that I like to say. So the 9 areas are mentally, professionally, financially, family, socially, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and environmentally. Now, that's a lot to remember. So for ease, I've brought them into 4 pillars, which is all about you, all about your relationships, all about your expertise, and all about your wealth creation. And it should be in that order that you actually create everything. So everything starts with you. Whereas a lot of time, especially women, we tend to forget about ourselves. We tend to put ourselves last. And what happens when that happens? We end up in resentment. We end up exhausted. And we end up going, when is it my time?
You know, that's very interesting that you say that, because when we start talking about development, skill development, personal development, when we start looking at work, I was just reading a study that was talking about training and development at work. And one of the things that it was saying is that for a lot of organizations, where the struggle becomes is that, you know, people don't take the time to do it. Kind of like here in the States, people have a lot of their vacation or holiday time that they just end up sacrificing. They don't take it. They just continue to work on through. So when you start talking about, you know, live, love by design, and being able to make sure that you're investing in yourself and doing those things, how do you get people to actually do that?
Okay, so I show them the benefits of what happens when they do it. When they do spend the first hour of themselves each day and looking after themselves before they go to work, and how different they are when they turn up to work, how more productive they are, how energized they are all day long. So by showing people the difference is how they can actually go, I'm going to do it. And it's quite interesting that you said that about taking leave and taking time to go, to take the time to rejuvenate yourself. I always left every job with at least 4 weeks annual leave up my sleeve. I never did it. I worked. And that's why I love this program, because I have lived that life of the people that I assist. I can say firsthand, I know what you're going through. I've done it. I burnt out. I put on weight. I did all of the things that I'm telling you not to do. So I'm coming from that experience, and I know how different not only I would have been, but how different my colleagues would have been if I had these gems when I was in that role. Every single person in that organisation would have been more productive, would have been happier, would have been truly coming to work and understanding each other. How often do we end up fighting with colleagues, all because we haven't taken the time to look at them from a different perspective?
Okay, so as you're talking, I started thinking about how a lot of folks are saying that the younger generation is kind of requiring a workplace that is more like that. So is it possibly that we're just going to kind of grow into this as the workforce shifts, or do we really need to make and take, you know, a proactive stance in moving things forward? Because let me also add this one piece, is that here in the States, there's this whole gender pay equality thing that's been, you know, really existing as long as women have been in the workplace.
Yes, and it's the same in Australia. It's the same worldwide.
So then if we talk about, you know, those things and live, love by design, and, you know, is it part of that issue that kind of causes women to have to, you know, I have to prove myself. I have to, you know, compete at a higher degree. I can't give up. I mean, is that contributing to this issue?
Totally. I totally agree. I know for a fact that I worked harder than any colleague or any peer of the same level. And it was because I was constantly trying to prove myself. And of course, we've all heard of the imposter syndrome, right? We all have that. And I thought it was just women that had that, but I've spoken to a lot of men, and a lot of men have it as well. We are constantly waiting for someone to tap us on the shoulder and go, do you know what? You shouldn't really be in this role. You're not as good as what, you think you are. So we're constantly not only battling against our peers, but ourselves as well. We self-sabotage so many times.
Okay, so if we're talking about, a systematic approach that has the 9 areas of focus, I mean, for me, like you said, it was a lot, but then I also thinking about, I can't focus on 9 things. Maybe that's a gender problem too. I don't know. But, from a system perspective, how do you get people to make sure that holistically they're actually helping them and lifting themselves up in all areas?
Okay, so it's actually quite simple. And you've got to love the world we live in. We have a calendar. So you schedule everything into your calendar, and every week you review who you were at the start of the week, what your goals were for the week, and then you review at the end of the week, and you just do that continually. So you're continually moving forward. You're continually focusing on all 9 areas of your life. And once you sort of get into the habit, and yes, we know it takes 62 days to form a habit, once you actually get into the routine, it's more about tweaking as opposed to, oh my God, I've got to spend all this time looking at the 9 areas. How on earth can I possibly do that? It's just about getting it and starting to understand how better you feel, how more alive you feel, just by the fact that everything is coming together. Like, how many times do people come home and they bring the woes of the day with them into the home? And then they end up fighting. They're not spending time with their family. They're not really there because they're still going over the day in their head, and they just plop themselves on the couch, and sure, they might have the TV on, but they're not even focusing on anything. So it's about being more conscious in everything that you do.
Okay, you just described my day the past 3 days in a row.
You need to learn to transition then. And it's so easy to do it. You can just sit in your car for 5 minutes and breathe, and then consciously say, who do I want to be when I walk through that door? And you can be that person. How many roles do we play during a day? Like, there's a lot, isn't there? And it's about consciously starting your day, walking through your day, because you know what your day is roughly going to be like, and saying, who am I going to be in every different meeting, in every different scenario? And then you bring that person into the scenario, and everything just works easier because you've created it in your mind before you even started. Sure, it might not go 100% the way you are, but it's going to be a lot easier. So you're not bringing home that really tired, burnt out person, and you're then, okay, I'm going to be a husband now. I'm going to be a father now, so that you are actually consciously making those relationships better in your life. And when you have great relationships, especially with yourself, everything is just easier.
Okay, so as I'm trying to think through all of this, and without knowing exactly the entire, system and program and all of that, but I'm starting to think about isolation, meaning that, okay, I'm trying to do these things. I'm trying to, execute the system. I'm trying to be proactive and get in front of, this whole issue, because it's kind of like, I always used to talk about, training of people. Either you take the time and put in the investment to train those people, otherwise you just end up doing it all yourself, and they never learn the job. And, it's you have to invest up front, have the hard work come first in order for you to enjoy the easy later. So I see this being very similar in that perspective. However, I think, I would think that you would need to have some type of peer support, at least, to have, the common thread with somebody else that kind of, hey, we're going through this together, kind of like that buddy system.
Yes, that works. But it's all about you actually understanding what you want out of life. Like, so many times we don't even define what success means to us. We take on someone else's definition, and we wonder why we're either falling short or we achieve it really quickly and we're still unfulfilled. So it is about you sitting back initially and defining what success means to you in every area of your life. Then you say, and you've got to be really honest with yourself now, where am I at now? So if 10 out of 10 is success, where am I now? And more than likely you're below 5, okay? Because you've never taken the time to do this. And then you figure out, okay, what are the action steps to get me from 5 to 10? Okay? Then you schedule those action steps, keep reviewing, and then you will achieve it. And when you get to 10 out of 10, you'll up the ante. And then you'll go back to 5 again. And you just keep doing that. And that's how you create it. So when you know inside of you what success means to you in all of areas of life, you actually then are consciously always going, where am I at? Where do I want to be? How do I close that gap? How do I close that gap? And that's what I love about it, is because you're actually consciously taking control of your life as opposed to just letting circumstances tell you where to go. Like every single job I had, circumstances got them for me. I didn't consciously go, I now want this role. I'm now going to go there. Sure, I became a CFO of a publicly listed company, but that happened because I was in a current role. I told them I was bored. I told them I was going to start actively looking for another job. And they said, come to this company. We're directors here. We want you there in that role. I didn't even have to even look for a job. It just came to me.
No, it's very interesting. As you're talking, it reminds me of a brief conversation that I had really just yesterday with a friend of mine, and she started talking about a lot of her female friends are going through mid-career. She called it a mid-career, not a midlife. I think she called it a mid-career crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Them really not, trying to find their way on where they want to go next. And to me, as you're talking, I'm like, oh, this is a solution for them.
Exactly. And they are my ideal clients because they are, and it's because it all comes from a different perspective. And let's face it, we don't know what we don't know. So it's about someone else coming in who is has no agenda apart from helping them to succeed and say, have you ever looked at it from this perspective? And let's face it, there's a million ways to look at anything, but we get so stuck in this is the way we do things that we don't look outside of those areas.
Yeah, I think that's an issue in a lot of different ways, isn't it? When I start thinking about, the transition and all that you've gone through and the pivoting and going a different direction and coming to a lot of these realizations, is that I can think of a lot of inspiration that you have found along the way. And one of the things that we do on the show is look at quotes for that.
Yes.
Is there a quote or two that you can share that you like?
My favorite quote, and I'm pretty sure everyone watching this or listening to this actually have been on a plane and they've all heard it. Please put your own oxygen mask on first before you assist others. Now, I've found that's not an emergency situation. That is an everyday requirement. Because when you are all topped up, when you are energized, when you have looked after yourself first, you can have anything come at you and you will not react. You will just consciously know how to deal with anything. And you really do assist others all day long. Nothing phases you because you've taken the time to breathe. You've taken the time to look after who you are. And our breath is the most amazing thing on helping us in any scenario, and we all forget to breathe properly, deep into our bellies.
That's a good point. Because I even talk about breathing, teaching my young middle school baseball players, when they're up and have a whole lot of anxiety and things like that. I'm like, look, stop, pause, breathe.
Exactly.
They look at me like I'm crazy. Maybe they'll figure it out someday.
No, but get them to do it. Get them to notice how different they feel. Like consciously say, how do you feel at the moment? And they'll feel it. Then say, okay, let's do a couple of deep belly breaths. I like to call them my conscious loving breath. and then say, how do you feel now? And they'll go, wow. Then they'll breathe all the time.
That's a good point. Okay, so now when we start talking about, again, this transition, everything, I know you've had humps to get over. You and I have had the opportunity to chat on several occasions, and we've had some really good discussions. And I know you have a lot of good stories to share, but is there a time where you've gotten over the hump that you can share with us?
Yes, there is actually. And it all comes back to when my son passed in 2011. I did not honour him. I did not honour myself. I went straight back to work because I knew how to be a CFO. I did not know how to be a grieving mother. And to be quite honest, I didn't want to be a grieving mother. And that was meant to be my wake-up call. And because I didn't wake up, I had to have another tragic event, which was me being laid off. You know, it was my choice when two companies merged together and they decided to offer me 2/3 of my current salary. But I started to realise that I didn't want to do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. It was just too draining on me. And I now know that Dan's passing was designed, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, we designed it on the other side, for me to actually wake up, for me to actually start doing what I'm doing now, to help the world to understand that you can have that career, but it doesn't have to come as a cost to you for your health. You know, there's a saying, I gave up my health in order to get my wealth, and now I'm spending my wealth to get back my health. And that truly was me. And I truly believe I was heading for a major illness, heart attack, stroke, diabetes, possibly even death. And it was through that life university phase of me actually learning new concepts, learning new awareness, that I came up with the Live Love by Design. But it's about helping people to actually go, you can have it all. But when you drift apart from who you are, life doesn't work. It may for a little while, but it won't long term. And that's what I love about who I am today. I honestly wake up every day and I just love who I look at. And I love my life. And I like to say I dance to work and I tap dance home, because it is a new way of doing things. And as you said, the younger ones are looking for a newer way. We've been doing it this way for so long. Look at all the cancers in the world. Look at all the illness. Look at what stress is causing everyone. It doesn't have to be that way.
All right. So, gosh, I mean, there's so many things that are just flying through my head as you're talking. I want to kind of get an idea of, say, a transition period. So in other words, I am struggling with some of these things today, you know, and I do put in, or I'm going to put in the effort to make some changes, but you know, how long was it going to take me to really start getting some momentum from it?
Okay. Let's put it this way. As I said in the beginning, 9 months. It'll take you 9 months to birth your new way of life. And depending on how focused you are, depending on how much you notice, how much easier life is, you could get there quicker. Okay? Now, 9 months. It sounds like a long time, but how quickly do our years go by? How quickly do they fly by? It doesn't take that long. But as with everything, it comes back to you consciously deciding, consciously seeing who you are today, and then designing who you want to be. Because you can do it. It's really easy. And you think, 9 months, come on, how old are you? It's not, for me, it's not even 1/61st of my, 61th of my life. So it's not that long, but you can do it. And not only will you do it, when you start to change, everyone around you will start to change. When you become happier, when you become to truly enjoy your life, it's really easy. And you'll be like, oh my God, why didn't I know this when I was 20? That's exactly what I say all the time. Why didn't I have this wisdom when I was that young? Why didn't I look after myself first when I was younger? Let's face it, it's a lot easier to look after yourself to maintain than it is to do a big major overhaul.
Most definitely. Okay, so when you start talking about launching all these things and And you've been working at this program and this work for a while, this coaching work. But what are some of your goals?
Some of my goals?
Yes.
Well, as you said in the beginning, I've just launching my Live Love by Design TV show. I obviously want to get out there. I want to speak more. I want to go into more corporations. I truly want to be able to go into backing, especially in accounting firms and especially in lawyers and all those sort of areas where I was really dealing with, banks and everything, to actually go, come on, it's not working. Like, you're burning out your employees. Let's look at a new way of doing things. Let's just trial it. Let's actually see what a difference this will make. Let's actually have your employees work less hours but be more productive. Like, how cool would that be? Why do we have to be there for 10, 12 hours a day? We don't. We can, if you're honest with everyone, your staff are only working probably 6 hours of that 10, 12 hours. They're doing other things. They're just trying to cope to get through the day. So let's actually bring it down so that they actually work less hours, more productive, you make more money, and everyone is happier. That sounds pretty good to me.
It does to me too. And the Fast Leader Legion wishes you the very best. Now, before we move on, let's get a quick word from our sponsor. An Even Better Place to Work is an easy-to-use solution that gives you a continuous diagnostic on employee engagement along with integrated activities that will improve employee engagement and leadership skills in everyone. Using this award-winning solution is guaranteed to create motivated, productive, and loyal employees who have great work relationships with their colleagues and your customers. To learn more about An Even Better Place to Work, visit beyondmorale.com/better. All right, here we go, Fast Leader Legion. It's time for the Hump Day Hoedown. Okay, Karen, the Hump Day Hoedown is a part of our show where you give us good insights fast. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and your job is to give us robust yet rapid responses that are going to help us move onward and upward faster. Karen, Chaston, are you ready to hoedown?
I am.
All right. So what is holding you back from being an even better leader today?
Not really very much. Every night I actually really look at my day and I always ask myself 3 questions. And it's in answering these questions that I always make sure that I'm continually moving forward. And I like to say I'm only in competition with yesterday me, no one else.
What is the best leadership advice you have ever received?
To schedule everything in your calendar, to constantly look at it, to constantly see if it's bringing you joy, moving you closer to your goal, or whether you can delegate it or eliminate it.
What is one of your secrets that you believe contributes to your success?
I genuinely listen to people and myself. I keep asking questions, especially, is there an easier way that I can do this better?
What do you feel is one of your best tools that helps you lead in business or life?
Constantly monitoring my goals, how I'm closing the gaps in each area of the life, each pillar under the Live Love way of life. All about you, all about your relationships, all about your expertise, and all about your wealth creation.
What would be one book that you'd recommend to our Legion? And it could be from any genre.
It's The 5 Regrets of the Dying from Bronnie Ware. She was an Australian palliative care nurse and she interviewed people for years. The 5 regrets were, number 5, I wish I had let myself be happier. Number 4, I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Number 3, I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. Number 2, I wish I had not worked as much as I did. And number 1, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me.
Okay, Fast Leader Legion, you can find links to that and other bonus information from today's show by going to fastleader.net/Karen Chaston. Okay, Karen, this is my last Hump Day Hoedown question. Imagine you were given the opportunity to go back to the age of 25 and you can take the knowledge and skills that you have now back with you, but you can't take everything back. You can only choose one. So what skill or piece of knowledge would you take back with you and why?
You are the only person you are going to spend your entire life with. So put yourself first, find your strength, courage, and truth to make sure you live a life that is true to you.
Karen, it was an honor to spend time with you today. Can you please share with the Fast Leader Legion how they can connect with you?
They can contact me through my websites, which is livelovebydesign.com or karenchaston.com.au. And please reach out because I would really love to assist you in birthing your new live, love way of life.
Karen Chaston, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. The Fast Leader Legion honors you and thanks you for helping us get over the hump. Thank you for joining me on the Fast Leader Show today. For recaps, links from every show, special offers, and access to download and subscribe, if you haven't already, head on over to fastleader.net so we can help you move onward and upward faster.